It is always a pleasant feeling for any cataract surgeon to see the intact posterior capsule and the IOL getting implanted into the capsular bag. But sometimes we do see the ruptured capsule margins, which scares almost all of us. There are situations like this when we can just be a spectator and watch the nucleus sink in the presence of an open posterior capsule. Intraocular lenses can also sink into the vitreous cavity in the absence of adequate PC support. Small posterior capsular openings like this during phaco also allow small pieces of nucleus to drop down. Take this case. Half of the nucleus is emulsified and we suddenly notice a ruptured posterior capsule margin here. Now the rest of the chopped nucleus pieces are lying above the area of a posterior capsule rupture. Here, without rotation of the nucleus, each chopped piece is held with the phaco probe and brought up into the anterior chamber, and they are emulsified away from the area of PC defect. Using dispersive viscoelastics like Viscoat to plug the area of posterior capsule rupture can prevent vitreous prolapse. The chopper is used to manually pull the nucleus pieces up from the bag into a safer area above the iris to be emulsified. Phacoemulsification is performed with lower fluidic parameters. Towards the end of the case, we can notice the tremor in the surgeon's hands. It is very much possible that at any time, these nucleus pieces can get dropped into the vitreous cavity. To avoid this, it is a known technique to use the sheets glide above the PC rupture to prevent nucleus drop. Let's see how we modified this technique. During phacoemulsification, huge posterior capsule rent has occurred. Dispersive viscoelastic has been injected into the rent area to prevent vitreous prolapse and to trap the nucleus pieces from sinking down. The Sinskey hook is used to gently maneuver the remaining chopped pieces of nucleus into the anterior chamber. In no way there should be traction on the vitreous. If there is vitreous prolapse, an anterior vitrectomy has to be performed before this maneuver. The presence of lot of dispersive viscoelastic is very important to create space and to keep the vitreous away. Now a multi-piece hydrophobic acrylic IOL is injected into the anterior chamber over the iris. If we are sure that the capsular rhexis is intact, the IOL can be placed into the sulcus also. Now the optic forms a scaffold or a temporary support for the nucleus pieces to prevent them from dropping into the vitreous cavity. The presence of Viscoat gives adequate protection for the endothelium here. The fluidic parameters are kept low and the phacoemulsification is continued. The second instrument through the paracentesis is not used here to avoid leak through the paracentesis so that the chamber is maintained well. The dispersive Viscoat also helps in trapping the nucleus pieces to avoid uncontrolled movements of these pieces inside the anterior chamber and to minimize endothelial touch. If required, a second instrument can be used through the side port to assist phacoemulsification. Refilling the anterior chamber with dispersive viscoelastic is very essential to give maximum endothelial protection. Once the nucleus is completely emulsified, the cortex can be aspirated. A bimanual approach or a more slow and controlled Simcoe aspiration can be adopted. The iris can be mildly retracted and the IOL optic slightly tilted to get better access to the cortex. Approach through two different paracenteses can enable aspiration from all locations easy. The IOL is then dialed back into the sulcus over the intact capsular rhexis. If the rhexis is small enough, the optic can also be captured within the anterior capsular rhexis for long-term centration of the IOL. The residual OVD can be washed from below the IOL and even some residual cortical fibers can be aspirated. The IOL is now seen well centered and the torn capsular margin is also visible. The IOL acting as a scaffold can be utilized in another situation too. In some cases of decentered or damaged intraocular lenses or wrong IOL powers, we would need to explant the IOL. Foldable IOLs are usually bisected before explantation to retain the incision small. But many times during such maneuvers, the posterior capsule can be damaged by the bisecting instrument or the haptic edge of the IOL, which may tilt. This is a case where a wrong power hydrophobic acrylic IOL was implanted. After inflating the anterior chamber with cohesive viscoelastics, the IOL is dialed out of the capsular bag into the anterior chamber. Additional OVD is injected behind the IOL to push back the posterior capsule as much as possible. Now the new IOL of the correct power is injected into the capsular bag. This IOL acts as a scaffold to protect the posterior capsule, while the IOL in the anterior chamber is being bisected before explantation. The incision is 3 mm and it is the regular Van As scissors which is used here for cutting the IOL. In this case, a modified technique is used. Making the least cutting maneuvers in the anterior chamber prevents injury to the iris and the endothelium. Instead of cutting the IOL fully into two halves, the cut is stopped after it just crosses the center of the optic. Now one side of the cut end of the optic is held and withdrawn through the incision. Once one haptic is also out, the optic turns around, hinged at the incision, to get the rest of the IOL also out of the anterior chamber. Here is another case where a grossly decentered hydrophobic acrylic IOL was identified and IOL exchange was planned. When the IOL was dialed out of the capsular bag, the total absence of one haptic was noted. Here again, after dialing out the IOL into the anterior chamber, another IOL is injected into the capsular bag. Now the damaged IOL is held on one side of the optic with a microforceps, while the optic is bisected with an ordinary Van As scissors. The IOL in the capsular bag acts like a protective scaffold, preventing damage to the posterior capsule. Maintaining the anterior chamber with high molecular weight OVD like sodium hyaluronate is of utmost importance here. The two halves of the bisected IOL are extracted out of the anterior chamber through a 3 mm clear corneal incision. As we all know, scaffolds created around buildings and other construction areas save lives. In cataract surgery too, the IOL scaffold helps us to prevent nucleus drops in presence of an open capsule and also to protect the posterior capsule during an IOL exchange. Thank you.